I got this rusty old chain that I cleaned up in my makeshift parts tumbler. Now that it's all clean, I'm going to dip it into some paint. Stay tuned to see how it turns out. All right, you guys remember the coughing hoist that I restored a few weeks ago? And if you remember, this thing was a rust bucket and I had to clean it all up. I repainted it. And this chain was really rusty. So I took that old cement mixer that I have and I turned it into a parts tumbler. I put some media in there and it really cleaned up this chain nice. And now I've been using the chain hoist, but the only thing I didn't do was I didn't put anything on the chain to protect it. Now I know there's a few avenues we can go as far as protecting the chain. I could just put some, maybe put some oil on the chain, soak it in oil. I could, probably the best option is to take it and get it galvanized, get it dipped, clean it, dip it, but I don't really want to go to all that trouble. I could spray it with some spray paint, but I think what I'm gonna do today is I got some Rust-Oleum, this is just some oil-based paint, and I got some mineral spirits. I'm gonna thin this paint down and I'm gonna dip this chain down into the Rust-Oleum paint, pull it back up, let it hang. I don't know, this is an experiment here in the shop. You gotta try something out every so often and we're gonna see. This could work really good or this could be, drip, drip, drip all over the place. We're gonna find out. We're gonna give it a whirl here. All right. All right, first up, let's pop open this Rust-Oleum and give it a good mix. Ooh, I can feel that in the bottom is real thick. And I just have an empty gallon can and I'm gonna finish mixing it in here. I'm gonna add some mineral spirits in here to thin this down, but yeah, look how chunky this is. It's been sitting on the shelf in the store for a long time. See, it does say here on the can you can thin this with mineral spirits or acetone, and it does say for brush or roller thin no more than 5%. I'm not doing this with a brush or roller, but that's a good kind of rule of thumb. Alexa, what is 5% of 1 quart?
5% of 1 quart is 3.2 tablespoons.
3.2 tablespoons per quart. Okay, I'm going to start with just 1 tablespoon since I already think it's a little bit thin. I'm going to mix this in and see what we get. Okay, I got a spare piece of chain just to use as a test to see how it clings to the chain. It looks good in some areas. I think I'm going to thin it a little bit more. 2, 3. All right. Now we're at our 5%. Let's give that a swirl. Okay, let's see how this looks on our chain now when we dip it. That's looking pretty good. I think it's going to need a shake. All right, look at this setup we got here on the shop. We'll file this chain up. We got this hoist. I didn't want to take the chain off of the hoist, so I still have it connected. And this is hooked up to a block and tackle, so I can lower this down. I got another block and tackle over here, and this is to this other chain. There's 2 chains that I'm doing. And as we come down to the bottom, we're right above our can of paint. We're gonna dip this in here. I know, right? Right? Get the can of spray paint out already, buddy. Come on, let's get going. Never mind all this dipping. All right, let's see how this goes. Talk about something needing some oil. All right, I had to turn down the volume on that squealing. That's where music comes in good in the editing process of these videos. Now let's give this a swirl. All right, let's pull it back out. I do like this music, but I almost feel that Luke Skywalker or maybe Doc Brown is going to jump out behind me. All right, it's looking pretty good. I think I want to give it a little bit of a shake, kind of get any excess just to flow off down to the bottom. See how in between the chains there, it's a little bit goopy in the corners. Yeah, that's what we want. A little bit of a shimmy shake here. Okay, it's time to dip chain number 2. Doesn't look like I can get all the chain. Maybe I'm going to have to hand paint that section. But pretty good. All right, let's give this a lift. Here's a good look at this paint cascading down the chain. It almost reminds me of those chains that you hang from your downspouts, you know, from your gutters for the rainwater. Okay, in this one, I think I'm even going to try to hook it here and flip this upside down. All right, same with this one. I'm just going to hook it here, and I'm going to flip this whole thing upside down just to give the paint a chance to run the other direction. I'm going to let this chain dry overnight, and then I'm going to come back tomorrow and assemble our hoist. All right, I got the chain back on our coughing hoist, and looking at the chain as it's hanging right here, I got to say that I think this method worked really good. I was skeptical about dipping a chain into a bucket of paint. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I've never seen this done before. The only other times I've seen chain painted is loggers like to paint chains bright colors in the woods so they can easily see them, don't lose them in the woods. But I gotta say, I think this method worked out pretty good, and I think it was key thinning down the paint, allowing it to run and drip and not be all goopy. Sometimes that oil paint can be really, really thick, but this worked out good. I did flip the chain upside down, back and forth a few times last night, and then later in the night, I came back a couple hours later, and I laid this whole chain down onto the table, and I did that because I wanted to separate each link and allow the paint to dry in between the links. I was like, this isn't gonna dry if I don't separate it, and that seemed to work really good. So I'm impressed. You know, is it the best method? I don't know. It's going to work for me for this hoist. I know there's a lot of movement on this chain that, you know, it's probably going to eventually chip, but for what I need it for, I think this is going to protect it from some rust, some flash rust. All right, let me know in the comments if you have painted a chain before. Maybe you did it differently. Maybe you spray painted it. Maybe you put some primer or a top coat. But I think this actually worked out pretty good. Let me know your thoughts. All right. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you enjoyed this video, this experiment here in the shop. And I'll see you all soon. Right on. All right, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'm going to put a link right here to that Rusty Parts Tumbler video and to that chain hoist restoration video. I think you guys will really enjoy that. All right, right on. Watch your top knot.